Welcome to the Commander's Comments. I'm your producer for the evening, Moose. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to our Chief of Heritage Operations, Mr. Ron Kennedy, and our special guest, the Chief Jason Boshers.
Thank you, Moose. I appreciate it, and welcome all to the. I believe this, Commander, is our third Commander's Comment.
Yes, sir.
Done, and I welcome all of our SCV members, our Confederate Legion SCV members, and just the general population that's watching. This is a great opportunity to bring everyone up to date on what's going on at the national headquarters, Sons of Confederate Veterans. And I am just excited, as always, to have the Commander-in-Chief, Jason Boshers, here with me today. Commander, how are you doing this afternoon?
I am doing very well. I'm doing very well this evening. And it is always an honor and a pleasure to talk to one of the Kennedy twins. And I am very honored and very humbled for everything y'all been doing.
Well,
go ahead, sir.
I appreciate that, but your threshold of being honored is real low if all it takes is the Kennedy to do it.
Well, last month I wasn't able to make it because of my father. My father is still having health issues. He got out of the hospital today. It's just one of those things that we are just going to be dealing with. He's been in 3 times lately. He did come home today. The one thing that I'd like to address very briefly is that, we need to pray for all of those and offer help to all of those who are sick out there. But we also really need to give a lot of respect and a lot of love to the caregivers. The caregivers are under a great deal of stress, having to or needing to or desiring to. I'll let you put whatever phrase you want to on it, to help these people during this time. And we all know people that's out there that are sick and they're suffering, and we have people that are out there as their caregivers. And I'm going to ask everybody to, when next time you bow your head and you offer up a prayer for those that are sick and afflicted, but also give up a prayer in support of all of the caregivers out there, because folks, they have their hands full. So I just wanted to take that. I regret that I was not able to make it last month. It was one of those times, but I am honored to have been here, to be here now. And I want to thank your brother, the Lieutenant Commander-in-Chief, Donnie Kennedy, for stepping in and doing an absolutely fantastic job. Kennedy versus Kennedy, that was a wonderful thing. And I want to thank y'all for everything that you've done.
Well, I appreciate that. But Kennedy versus Kennedy is pretty hard, because as identical twins, you'd be surprised at how often we start to say the exact same thing, and we end up talking over each other. So, but he tends to be, he's not as smart as me, and he tends to try to, and I'm better looking, so he tries to dominate the conversation. But, we'll let him get by on that. All right. Commander, what is the latest thing? And I know we've got a lot of people that are very concerned about the efforts of I'm just going to call them what I think they are, a bunch of neo-Marxists in Washington, D.C. that have political power, who are trying to literally destroy a beautiful historical monument. Who's put that picture of that monument up? So, I mean, anyone who hasn't been there and seen that, you have really missed something. It's a historic monument, and I did not know, and I'm ashamed of this. There's a lot I don't know, but I did not realize that the Jewish individual that actually did this monument was a Confederate veteran. Now, I know we have a lot of Jewish Confederate veterans. Matter of fact, I heard someone, Jason, and someone listening tonight can correct me, but I heard it said at a meeting one time that the only place outside of Israel where there's more Jewish headstones is in the South, where the Jewish Confederate soldiers are buried. So that says a lot for the South. But anyway, Moose, take that picture down. Now, have you heard anything? I mean, I've heard rumors and I've had telephone calls. Have you heard anything, Jason?
Yes, sir. Unfortunately, and I actually hate to talk about this, but let's go ahead and talk about it and let's get it out in the open. Yes, I have heard several talks. As you know, this originally started out as part of renaming the bases and things like that, and renaming everything. And then we went into the one-click politics, and it wasn't too long after we put that out a few weeks ago, we started hearing rumblings. And one of the rumblings is they are going to take down the Confederate monument that is Arlington. Have not heard that they're going to do it. And I haven't, as far as I know, to the best of my knowledge at this point in time on this Thursday evening, I'm not aware of any cranes showing up to take anything down. But there has been talk about they're going to take down the Confederate monument that is in Arlington Cemetery. Well, that just breaks your heart, because if you just saw it and you saw what, if you don't do anything but admire it for being a beautiful work of art, you can see that. Now, there's some rumors that have been going around in the past couple of days that, yes, they are going to take it down. And now we're starting to hear some rumblings. I heard yesterday and today that there are people that are talking about going and having a protest up there, that this is going on. First of all, the Sons of Confederate Veterans, we are a heritage organization. We are not going to condone any kind of protest that is going to happen, especially in Washington, D.C. We need to remember what happened on January 6th. And the Oath Keepers, some of them are just now going to trial this week. At my experience from watching everything with protesters, it's not going to go well. And if any of us show up in any kind of force to do any kind of protesting, it's just going to bring out the other side. It is not going to do any good. Personally, as an individual, I'm going to speak for myself personally, I'm not going to have any part of it. I don't believe that a showing up in mass to protest isn't going to do it. It's not going to do any good, and it's only going to highlight and make the problem worse, especially when it does get confrontational. There's not a whiff, and if, it is a win. And the win is, yes, it will get confrontational. Our organization, we already know how they feel about our organization. We are a historical organization. I am not going to condone anybody from the Sons of Confederate Veterans to go up there and say that I'm protesting on behalf of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. No, sir, you're not protesting up there on behalf of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. If you I'm not going to tell you as an individual that you can't go, because you as an individual, you have rights. And I'm going to honor your rights, and I'm going to respect your rights. They're God-given rights, and they're protected under the First Amendment. But do not go as a member of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. Do not wear any kind of SCV logo. I'm not going to condone it. I'm not asking anybody to. And me personally, I will not go, because I believe that the things we are currently doing with our one-click politics have actually had a positive impact that's looking good for us at this point. A lot of times when this stuff goes public, there is no way to control it. When these things are contained and they're having conversations that are quiet and legitimate and non-confrontational, sometimes great things happen. But if you go up there and it starts to get violent, remember what happened on January 6th. And here we are, the 6th day of October, and some of them are just now going to trial. If somebody chooses to go, you choose to go as an individual, and you have rights as that. And I'm not going to give you any advice on that. That is completely and totally your business and your choice. But the Sons of Confederate Veterans will not endorse any kind of mass protest, period. I'm not going to have anything to do with it. If you don't like me for it, guess what? That's fine. I'm doing what I think is the absolutely best thing to do to protect our organization and to protect our organization, so your children and your children's children will be able to remember and honor their forebears is my primary concern right now. That's my feelings. Now, Mr. Kennedy, if you wish to voice your feelings, the floor is open, young man.
Well, I could just ditto what you said. I mean, individuals have the right, if they want to go up there. Now, having a right isn't the same thing as it being prudent to exercise the right. Jason's wife has the right to divorce him if she wants to take him to court. That wouldn't be a prudent thing, because Jason would never find another good-looking lady to have him. I mean,
Amen. Preach on. Keep on, brother. Preach on.
But just because you have a right doesn't mean you should exercise that right. But if you want to do it, that's your business. Now, we've done a lot, and we're still doing a lot. As a matter of fact, one of the things that we really need to do is to get the word out. Is there anyone who's a member of the Sons of Confederate Veterans who know, or even if you're not a member, a friend, if you're just an associate or whatever, do you have an ancestor that's buried there at the cemetery in Arlington? Now, if you, for instance, if Jason had an ancestor buried there, Jason has standing to bring a claim against the desecration of that cemetery. Now, whether or not the court will, again, you're going into a federal court, asking the court that's set up by the nation that invaded, conquered, and occupied the South, and you're going into a federal court asking them to do the South a favor. That's not the easiest burden to overcome. But nonetheless, if you have an ancestor, or you know someone who has an ancestor who's buried there, please get in contact with us. Most of you have the Confederate Legion email address. Yeah, just say, if you have an ancestor, send me at that Confederate Legion at Reagan.com. Send me an email. Say, I have a relative, an ancestor that's buried there. Here's my name, blah, blah, blah. Now, finding someone who has an ancestor there is just part of the problem. The other problem is, are you willing to stand up and put your name on that lawsuit in federal court to go against to try to get an injunction to stop the desecration of that cemetery? Now, there's a lot of legal hurdles that have to be overcome, and I'm not an attorney. Jason's not an attorney. I have talked to about 4 different attorneys in the last week about this issue, and it's really strange. Some say they have contacts in the Department of, well, I won't call it that. They have contacts in Washington, and they say that it's coming down. They're going to set the things up, scaffolding up to take it down this week, next week. And others who tell me the exact opposite, that we are against it and we're going to make sure that nothing happens. And then some say, well, it's been approved by Congress, but it hasn't been funded yet. I mean, there's all kind of political issues that's well beyond my pay scale to handle. But if we can find someone who has an ancestor, who has standing, and who's willing to stand up, then we got to find an attorney in Washington, D.C. that practices up there. We can't have our judge advocate doing it from Tennessee. Then we got to find about the cost. Is it, you get a high-priced Washington, D.C. lawyer, you're going to pay thousands of dollars. So then you got to do that cost-benefit analysis. Are we going to deplete all our funds that we were going to use to advertise our nationally, the SCV, in order to hopefully get the federal courts to rule in our favor? So there's just a lot going on. So SCV members, don't think we're not working on this.
We are.
question is, and I know I have spent virtually every waking hour of every day here in front of this computer. My wife's going to divorce me because I'm not doing any of the honeydews that she wants me to do. So, but we've been working on this, and we will continue working on this.
Yes, and and don't think that we're not trying to do things. Yes, we are. We're actually, as you said, we're having these conversations. But like I said, I haven't seen any scaffolding come up yet. And I have looked through, just like everybody else. I watch Fox News, C-SPAN. I watch C-SPAN more than I do anything else. I have not seen this come up on the vote. I have not seen this as anything. You know how the rumor mills run. Nothing like this might be fixing to happen. But I do know that when the rumor mill starts, sometimes you have to address some of these rumors before everything gets out of hand. And as far as anybody wanting to go and do this, what my little experience on this earth has taught me is there is a difference between could and should. And sometimes that difference is a very large difference. Sometimes what you could do and you should do, that's an easy thing. Could and should are in some cases can be very far apart, and there's a big difference. So
I think we whipped that one pretty good.
Good.
Yes. And I'm sure people have comments and questions. And by the way, I'm going to remind everyone, if you send your comments or questions in the chat line, Moose will collect them and we'll do our best to answer them before the end of the program. Commander, let's get on some good news. How are we doing on the Forest Monument, the plaza, and all? How's that coming? What's the update on that?
Well, this past weekend, the General Executive Council had a council meeting at Elm Springs, and the whole, for lack of a better term, all of the pieces that come out of Memphis, I'm gonna call it the Forest Pavilion. It's 50 feet deep, 75 feet wide. We were in discussions and have been in discussions for a little while about the concept of how we're going to put all of this back together. This past Saturday, the General Executive Council did vote to start with the concept that we're going to put the entire plaza back, the whole 50 feet by 75 feet. That was passed. Now we're looking at, because there's going to have to be dirt moved, the ground's going to have to be worked. Then we're going to have to get all the pieces in there and start building this up. Estimates are running between $125,000 and $175,000 to put the entire plaza back. So we're going to work with the concept of that. We're now looking at getting bids. I've had one gentleman already come and take a look at putting the puzzle back together, which would be the plaza. Look at that. He's going to start getting together an estimate of it. Many of these pieces are very large, very heavy. So there's going to be quite a bit tied up in crane work to get these pieces moved. So the GEC did vote to do it. The concept is we're going to put the entire plaza back. And now we're in the fundraising part of it. I've got another gentleman coming that is going to take a look at the equestrian statue to get, I'm trying to get 3 different bids from 3 different people that I trust, that I have faith in that will do us the job that we need. Because once we do this, while we have it down and we can work on it the way we can, we need to do it the best that we can. So we're going to be looking at those 3 bids. I'll be trying to get 2 more bids on putting the plaza back together. And you can expect something to be in the upcoming Confederate Veteran magazine, kind of giving a running total, just so everybody knows and just so everything is out there. The way that we handled the reinterment, and we went with the ticketed event and things like that, we saved ourselves a great deal of money on security cost. And right now we have $61,000 sitting in an account that we're going to apply to this. So, we're going to be raising from the $61,000 on up to I'm just going to start shooting for 150,000. 150,000. Everybody feels comfortable so far that ought to put the entire plaza back together. So we're going to have to raise about 90,000, but you're going to see letters starting to come out in the Confederate Veteran. Yes,
Good.
sir.
Now, during the GEC, the individual members and the family members during the GEC, didn't they make a contribution to the?
Yes, sir. $18,000 was raised there at the GEC. Well, a little over 18. I think it was 18.5, with more that's being pledged. So $18,000 raised right off the bat between the Forrest family, who have stepped up to the plate, and they're going to put their money where their great grandfather is.
Yeah.
They're backing it up, and the General Executive Council started throwing money in as individuals.
Right, and that's important. That's not SCV. That's us on the GEC saying we will give this much.
Yes, people saying I will give this, I will give that. So we already raised a little over 18,000 already just from the General Executive Council and the Forrest family. So that's even a little bit farther along. So I let's just say that we're going to operate from the principle of what about 80,000. So let's just say we double that. We know we're good. And the rest of that will go into the unveiling when we go to do that. Yes. And the 18,000 is not SCV funds, but individuals. And remember, we talk about the power of the individual. I do. I believe in the power of one.
Yeah, absolutely right. And I made a challenge. Matter of fact, I committed my little old camp, SCV camp, local camp. We have, I'm guessing, somewhere around 25 members. And it's the NB Forest Camp here in 1631 here in Mandeville, Covington, Louisiana. And I, on behalf, and they're going to stroke if they're listening, but I said, we'll raise $1,000 to go towards this. And we're just a little small camp. We'll raise $1,000 to go towards getting Forest Plaza restored and the monument where it actually belongs. And I challenge every other camp to do the same. And past Commander-in-Chief Larry McClooney stepped up and said his camp will match it and raise $1,000. So there's other camps out there. We can do this, get together, have some fundraising events, have some yard sales, do whatever you got to do. Let's get the money to get that Forest Plaza done and done right.
Yes, sir. To me, this is all part of the charge. This is part of our agreement with the family that when things were coming out of Memphis, yes, we would take it. We would take it all and we would put it all back together under this whole deal that they take them down and we put them up. That's what this is. They took it down. We're putting it up. And that's keeping the charge.
To make it clear, we have all the parts and pieces on site, or is it storage, or is it still in Memphis?
Everything is on property at Elm Springs.
Good. So everyone, all we've got the jigsaw puzzle pieces. We just need to get it put back together. Come help us put the Forest Plaza jigsaw puzzle back together again.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Great. Yes, sir. It will.
All right. Let's see. What about the museum? Did we get any acquisitions for the museum?
Oh, I tell you, there was that whole saying when we started this: if you build it, they'll contribute and they'll come see it. I was there today and people are still coming to visit. But this past weekend, we had some wonderful things that have been donated. We had 2 rifles that were donated. We had a period pistol. Recently, that's that's Kenny Ramsey, the Army of Northern Virginia councilman, with a very rare War of 1812 Massachusetts musket that had been converted and used by Confederates during the war. So, we've had stuff like that come in. We have been asking for textiles. We had a pair of drop front trousers to come in. We have some more things that are coming this way, such as coats, Mississippi divisions. They've gotten one, and they're going to donate it to the museum. So we are having these artifacts that are coming in, and we have them coming in every week. And then seems like we always have a cavalcade. Seems like if one thing shows up, we'll have 3 or 4 things. And anytime that we've had the GEC meeting, GEC members have stepped up by members and people in their camps or their divisions that are bringing and donating things. So yes, we are getting great artifacts, and many of them have come in within the last couple of months.
Say, Moose, did we have any other photographs of artifacts that came in? Yeah, there's that pistol.
Yes, that's the pistol he was talking about, and I believe what the gentleman on that's on the far left, that's Eric Prevetti. Eric Prevetti is holding a piece of the Monitor, the USS Monitor, that was given to somebody, and they donated it. To me, it's all part of our story. So
yeah.
I believe that was part of the Monitor, if I remember right.
That's what he said. We also had a flag that was a UDC flag. There it is.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, UCV.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. That is Daryl Maples and Randy Kaiser coming out of Missouri with that. They found it and purchased it and donated it to the museum. It is a UCV flag from the 1st Florida. Of course, we're trying to get all the provenance and everything figured out about it. Sitting down, taking a look at it. The fabric is correct. The stitching is correct. All of us that have looked at it believe this to be a true piece. And the reason why I say that is we have things that are come in that are donated. And after you take a look at them, unfortunately, they are not quite what they appear to be. This does appear to be a legitimate 1st Florida UCV flag. So,
well, that's great.
Yes.
And I know this couple of weekends back we had a Jimmy Hill. Oh, great, Jimmy! The Naval Cutlass has arrived. All right.
Yes.
I'm excited. I want to see that. That's great. So we've got a lot of things going on. I know we've when we had the time capsule opened in Shreveport 2 weekends ago, we had a beautiful flag that was used during the I'll get this wrong, 36 or 39. I can't remember the United Confederate Veterans, probably 36 convention. It flew by the Confederates during the old vets during their reunion, and that thing is in mint condition. It's beautiful battle flag in mint condition, and as I understand it, it's I believe Chuck McMichael said it's headed to the National Museum there, so we'll have that one. So I'm just excited about the way people are finding things to and actually going out and like Jimmy Hill finding the Cutlass and going out and raising the money necessary to acquire it. So
yes, sir. I had a gentleman contact me today, and he said I was scrummaging around on eBay, and it was a gentleman by the name of David Daniels here in Tennessee. And David said, "Hey, I was looking through, and I found a 1894 copy of the UCV Constitution and Bylaws. Was that something you'd be interested in?" And of course, yes, and he's going to donate that to the museum. So that's going to be something that's going to be coming in. And that's the one thing about going into the museum. You don't know. I'm not up there every day. I'm up there most days. And it seems like every little bit something is coming in, and they're great artifacts. And, I was skeptical like everybody else when this whole idea come up and we were putting it together. And then we opened our doors, and it seemed like once we opened our doors, there has been, our doors have been open 2 years now. We opened them on, I believe, October the 3rd. That's when we dedicated the Jeff Davis statue. We opened our doors then. So in those 2 years, you can come in there and it looks like a museum.
Mhm.
And there's true artifacts in there that our members, we have donated and provided. And they're continuing to tell our story. And that's a wonderful thing. That's what we need.
It's a great thing. I proposed to Jimmy Hill that there's a mannequins that have some uniforms on there, but
Yes,
they're
sir.
barefoot. And
Yes, sir.
since they're early war uniforms, that we really need to be on the lookout for some brogans that or boots that they would have worn, infantry would have worn. And if push comes to shove, I suggest you go ahead and buy some reenacting period, that are actually to put them on those bare feet until we can get, surely there's got to be some old programs left if we can find them. And
Yeah, that would be great if we could. I'm going to donate my old reenacting pair. They're probably 20 plus years old. They look like they have been through a mess. The sole's coming apart on them, but just to show what those would have looked like. So, yes, sir.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that the square toe boot was in use back then, and not the round toe.
Yes,
programs that us country boys were used to. We used to plow in our brogans, but
yes, sir.
Very similar to the boots, but they were round toed.
Yes, sir.
Let's see. Let's look at something else. We're coming up on Pop-Tart break. Let's talk about this quickly, if I may. The Stephen D. Lee Institute.
Go for it.
All right, because we're looking at it coming up February the 24th, 25th, 26th. It's a 2-day affair. I think the 26th is a Sunday. I was getting ready to look on my calendar when I realized it was time. But set that time aside, February 24th, 25th, 26th. It's going to be in Tampa, Florida. We sent out the provisional title, and now this is the final title. I don't know if I sent this to you, Commander. Apologies already to the Commander if I didn't send this to you. But the title is Monuments from Memory to Mayhem. Monuments from Memory to Mayhem. And we've got quite a few speakers already. Well, they're committed, so it's going to be a great discussion. So I hope everybody will mark that on their calendar and come down and help us with the Stephen D. Lee event. The Stephen D. Lee event now comes under the Heritage Promotion. So
yes,
I'm not the one, thank God I'm not the one doing all the hard work. SCV member Dave McAllister is doing the hard work behind the scenes to get it all ready, and high five to him for doing that and being willing to do it. Next year we may need someone else. I imagine, so we'll start looking for someone else who wants to take it. I would love to have the Stephen D. Lee in Nashville, so we could draw people to that area, and then they can come to our museum as well. But,
was that a hint?
Well, that's what I would love to have, and
yes, sir.
It tend to be more central to everything. But
yes, sir. This time I think you said it's going to be down in Tampa.
Right.
And now they haven't secured the hotels and all of that yet, have they?
Well, they were in the process of looking at the bids, and they had this little weather event that sort of stopped them from all that. And by the way, when you mention people in prayer, let's remember all the people in Florida, but especially our SCV members who went through. But I think that's caused some rain events up in North Carolina and everywhere else. Yes, Charles Lorette.
Yeah.
Thank you, Charles.
And I'm glad Charles went ahead and brought that up. That's what I have on my notes to close with. But I'm glad that Charles went ahead and brought that up. We've covered the SCV Relief Fund in the past. This is brother helping brother, and that's what we'll finish on. But yes, sir, we need to acknowledge those, and we still have people suffering in Kentucky, and so we need to remember all of them. Yes, sir.
All right, that's great.
But we'll go ahead and we'll keep plugging this Stephen D. Lee, and we'll start plugging it for next year. I'm the bad guy. I'm the guy that felt this needed to go under Heritage Operations and Heritage Promotions. And I asked Mr. Kennedy if that's something they would do, and he graciously agreed. But he can only kind of oversee everything. We need real boots on the ground. And he's guidance. He's to help you get where you need to answer this question, answer that question. But as far as booking hotel rooms, booking speakers, he might want to have some input on the speakers and stuff like that. Now, we need to remember that because he is Chief of Heritage Operations, that he is going to be one of the speakers, because this is a Heritage Operations event. So he is going to be one of the speakers. So you already have one already booked. Then you can pick your rest of them. But if anybody's thinking about doing this, there is a budget. Contact one of the Kennedys, contact HQ, and then we can get you on the right path. Let's go ahead and start booking for next year.
That's right. Yeah, they've got quite a lineup already. I see a Dr. Ann McLean from Virginia, historic preservationist, Alexander Adams from UK, artist and author. That's interesting. Teresa Rowland, museum archivist, will be speaker. Ed Hooper from journalist. Oh, he's a journalist, author, and producer. And then, of course, we're going to have our panel of monument lawyers. Those guys we send out to fight in the court. Kurt Lyons, Jay Hinton. I see Ed Patterson, David McAllister, and of course, Judge Advocate Scott Hall will be there on the panel. So it really looking to be a really exciting opportunity to learn more about what's going on, what we can do about our monuments. And I can tell you, most people already know what Ron Kennedy's going to say. So, because to me, this is not a fight about history. It's not a fight of lack of education on our opponent's part. It is an out and out effort to destroy not just Southern heritage, not just Southern history, but these are neo-Marxist, postmodernist progressives who have declared war against Western Christian civilization. It's not just us they're after. So it's going to take more than just meetings and writing good books. It's going to take some real action outside of the SCV in the political arena to do anything. We've got to develop clout. You know, it's time for a Pop-Tart break. I don't know if Moose has gone to sleep on us or not, but if Moose can wake up and get us started on our Pop-Tart break, then the commander and I can get something to drink. And I think...
Well, let's see. We might need to come on to the next subject. Or Moose, if you got it ready, just interrupt me. You're not going to bother me. I'm not one of these sensitive people.
My dad told me he always had a kinship to the battle flag. Always growing up, he knew there was something there, but he couldn't put it together. I called my 97-year-old grandmother, and I asked her, do we have any soldiers in the family? I gave her 3 descriptions. Verde, which means green for modern-day soldier. Blue, azul, or gris, means gray. And she said, mijo, which means my son in Spanish, is gris. It was gray. My great-great-grandfather was named Andres Torres Rodriguez. He was born in Mexico. He was a laborer. And he was an 8th Texas Infantry, and his unit later on got incorporated to the Texas 33rd Cavalry under Santos Benavides, who was the highest Mexican-American Confederate officer. He was a colonel. There was over 13,000 Hispanic soldiers throughout the Confederate States, but out of those 13,000 were 2,500 Tejanos. And it's 2 words combined. Texas in Spanish is Tejas. Mexican in Spanish, Mexicano. You combine both words, Tejano. They contributed a lot for Southern independence. I think that they deserve respect, honor, and dignity under the Confederate flag that they fought for. there was people of color, Mexican people, and other Hispanics, and other people of color that fought in this war. Everyone's reason was different, but primarily they fought in this war for their independence and to protect their homeland. I joined the SCV because I'm extremely proud of my Confederate heritage. I have Confederate DNA. I just want to ensure that the present generation and future generations know and never forget the contributions of Hispanics in the War of Northern Aggression. I am Richard Luna Garcia, the great-great-grandson of Private Andres Torres Rodriguez, a Tejano Confederate soldier.
And that's a great ad. And I want to see that ad going nationally. And that's going to be a project of the Confederate Legion coming up as soon as we get started in January. Ads like that has got to go national. We've got to be able to get our message out to the world. Let the politicians know as well that we are actively defending our heritage and asserting our right to be proud of our heritage. And I'm one of those who are really aggravated at the fact that every group, regardless of who they are, can define their heritage and be proud of their heritage, except for Southerners. We are not allowed to even define our own heritage. We are forced to allow those who hate us to define our heritage. That's unjust. That's un-American, it's unacceptable, and will not stand for it. With that, Commander, we've got Hispanic, Confederate Hispanic Month coming up, don't we?
I believe we've already started it. It started October the 1st. I look for different ways for us to celebrate ourselves as individuals and even as a group. And I know that majority of the responses of us putting this out as doing this has been extremely positive. The effort is not to say one group or another group, is to recognize there's a lot of people who do not realize that just how diverse the Confederate Army was. And it's our job to say, okay, here we are. People talk about diversity. If you want diversity, look at the 7th Texas. If you want diversity, look at some of the outfits that were down in Mississippi and here in Tennessee. So when this come about, I forget who I was talking to, or somebody sent me an email about it, and I'm going about Hispanic Heritage Month. I'm going, when we had Confederate Hispanics, So first thing I did was reach out to Richard Garcia, who you just saw on the video, and I asked Richard. I said, I don't pretend to know everything. A lot of people like to say they know everything or pretend to know everything. I don't. I know I don't. So I reach out to somebody who knows. And knows how to put this together. So I talked to Richard. I said, now, what is, give me some facts, give me some details, help me write this. And a vast majority of what you saw, Richard Garcia wrote. He knows what he's talking about. He knew the facts. He gave me the facts. All this was confirmed. And we've got to put this out. And I'm going to keep doing this because I want to recognize all of our contributions as either, because we're all Confederates. We are all Confederates and we're all descendants of Confederates. But we need to recognize that, this group was part of it. This group was part of it. Because, as Mr. Kennedy just told you, they like to define our history. They're telling us who was in these armies. They will tell you that there were no Black Confederates. They will tell you that there were no Asian Confederates. They'll tell you there were no Hispanic Confederates. They will tell you that who made up these Confederate soldiers were just, well, you know what they'll say, and I'm not even going to go down that path. But but why can't we just say, okay, no, take a look at what we have to offer? And I want to thank Richard Garcia for stepping up and writing this. Other than changing this and putting this in there and adding some of my own stuff, Richard wrote a majority of it. I want to thank him for it. You will see some more of this from me coming up. I know I've got 3 pieces of email about it that people were upset. They accused me of being woke. They accused me of wanting to divide us even more. I am not dividing. I am recognizing, and there is a difference. And in my mind, there's a difference. You might disagree, but in my mind, I want to recognize. I want to recognize what Richard has done. I want to recognize what his ancestors have done. And yes, download it, put it on social media. It's going everywhere. I heard earlier, I think Moose told me that we had something like 6,000 hits on TikTok on just the Richard Garcia video. And people are going, we didn't know we had that. Really? Okay. So we're getting our message out. And if you want to accuse me of being woke, then, okay. Whatever. Okay.
I want to brag a little bit on the Louisiana division. Of course, I got my Republic of Louisiana flag in the background for those who don't know what it is. Sometimes also referred to as a circus on a pole. But anyway, it's because of all the gaudy colors. But that's Louisiana. But Brian McClure, our commander of the Louisiana division, he has sent out in November. Louisiana is going to celebrate Native American Heritage Month.
Yes.
In January, I love this. Only Louisiana can do this. Everybody can, but we're going to celebrate Acadian Heritage Month. Something very special to us here in Louisiana. Mm-hmm. February, African American. March, Irish American. Yeah, there was a bunch of Irish there. And in April, we'll do Confederate Heritage Month, and on May we're going to do Women's of the Confederacy. Yes. So this is something every camp ought to be involved in, not just national. And it's very important when you do these things, you send the information out to your local agents of influence. And you just a quick little letter, don't make it real big. Put the QR code for one of our ads that we have running and send it to them. It will make a difference in the long run.
Yes.
All right. Anything else on the Hispanic month?
No, sir. I want to thank Richard Garcia again for everything he's done. I think that's a great video. Everybody who has pushed this out and has done is getting the word out. Thank you. And let's just keep on doing it. As Mr. Kennedy just told you, there's going to be future ones coming.
That's right. You want me to give them an update on the widgets that we sent out?
Oh, yes, sir. Please do. Let her rip.
All right. Well, I'm just going to very briefly, because we got about 11 minutes left, and I don't want to use a lot of time with it. I did get an update. We've got right at 4,000 of our members who have used it, or their members and their wives and family. And I don't want to. I want to praise those who have taken that it's so easy. It's literally one click and off it goes. I want to thank every one of those 3,000 to 4,000 who have already done it. But, there's about 25,000 more Confederate sons of Confederate veterans who love to talk about what are y'all doing to save our monuments. Well, I'm looking you in the eye and saying, what the are you doing? Get up off the couch and go get that widget and fill it out and send it in. Not
That's
that
all
I
you got to do.
It, but it's just it's easy. It's easy.
And it can't get any simpler. You don't even have to look them up. You don't even have to know your representative's name. It will fill in every bit of that for you. There isn't anything special that you have to. And I have heard some things back from people that have gotten responses from their politicians that have said, thank you for sending this in. I can say I'm hearing from my constituents, because all the ones that I talk to say they very seldom ever hear from the people they represent. So if you don't reach out to them, they're not going to come knocking on your door to get your response. So this is an opportunity. All you got to do is click, type your name, add that in and all of that, get your address, let it go. That's all you got to do. Piece of cake.
If you've already sent yours out, go back to your email that we sent to you where you got the URL. Copy that URL and send it to your fellow camp members who haven't done it yet. And then send it to your mother and your father and your uncle and your brothers and your sisters. You know, if we flood that place with these emails, there's a great chance that we will be able to stop this and prevent it. And if we don't stop it, if we don't prevent it, if we flood them with emails, they gonna know that we're out here. And again, it's just like Malcolm Wallace told the folks in Braveheart, we don't have to defeat them. We just have to fight them. They got to know we're alive and we're fighting, and there will eventually be a cost to be paid for every evil they've done to us. Retribution will come if we do our job right. So use that widget. Excuse me. We've got a couple of housekeeping things that we need to take care of. Do you want to say something quickly about paying dues on time?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Having been up at HQ a bunch lately, our fiscal year ends July and July 31st, and you're supposed to have your dues in then. They give a 1 month grace period to get them in. Well, a vast majority of people are waiting until August to pay them. We started processing the late ones, the ones that come in September. National just started processing them at the ending part of last week. We had that many dues that came in. I'm going to go ahead and touch on, there's a way that camp adjutants can take care of this. First of all, get on the telegraph and get signed up for the adjutant training class. This is for adjutants and this is for commanders. I'm the adjutant for my camp. I sat down at my computer and paid all of the dues when they come, or paid the dues when they come in. You know, I go to the post office. I've had 2 members' dues show up. I sit down, sign on, pay them. Don't have to worry about it anymore. I don't have to compile everything and try to send it all on one check and try to get it in and get it out on August 26th. Sign up and learn to use Salesforce. It's really not that hard. And once you go through the adjutant training and learn how to do it, you can pay the dues as they come in. You're not waiting to the last minute to do it. I'm going to encourage everybody to sign up for the adjutant and commander training. And I would like for each camp adjutant and each camp commander to go through the training and learn how to do this. So you learn how to do it so you're not flooding HQ. You know, there were times when I was there in July that there were other things that were going on because they were getting ready for the national reunion, all that. Just not very many dues were coming in. And then all of a sudden we hit the last 2 weeks of August and it's a cavalcade. It's a flood. Everybody's waiting till the last minute to pay. If you pay in August, although you're still in the grace period, you're still late, you don't have to pay the $5. Well, now there's going to be a lot of people mad at HQ because their dues, their adjutant didn't send them in until postmarked September 6th when he was going to send them in. Well, guess what? $5 late fee on each one of them. If he's paid dues for all 30 people and he sent it in on one check, it's going to go back. And you're going to have to pay an extra $5 for everyone. That is the reason why it's important to get them in, start sending them in. But if you will sit down and use Salesforce, you don't have to worry about that. You can come in and, watch TV or, listen to commanders' comments and pay your camp dues. Listen to SCV chat. So you know what? Every Monday night I'm going to listen to SCV chat and pay my camp dues if you're the camp adjutant. And it's a piece of cake. It's easy to use. I'm going to greatly encourage everybody because I'm seeing how things are coming in. I know that it has been this way over the recent years. It was extremely bad this year. Everybody waited until August to pay. And, adjutants, you can make it a lot easier on yourself if you'll use Salesforce. And get onto the Telegraph, sign up for it, and take the class. And once you take the class, you'll know how to do it, and you will not want to do it any different. You won't have to cut a check. You won't have to keep up with it. They come in, you pay it, off it goes.
And who is eligible to take the training?
Adjutants and commanders.
Okay.
Adjutant and commanders. Now, if you have somebody, I always tell people, as soon as you get a position, you start looking for your replacement. Because none of us need to hold a job forever. None of us need to be the adjutant forever or the camp commander forever. Start training. If you're the adjutant, start training your replacement. Have him set in with you. Eric's going to be cool with that. He's not going to have a problem. And you can go and tell him, hey, this guy's going to be replacing me next year, and he needs to know how to do this. And Eric's going to be fine with that. It's not going to be a problem.
That's great. All right, we've got 3 minutes left. I got two more housekeeping items.
Oh.
Do you want to tell everybody about the Deputy Chief of Heritage promotion?
I believe it is a gentleman out of Louisiana by the name of Bobby Glenn Herring. Is that correct?
That is correct. Bobby has graciously accepted that appointment. And he's already been online answering emails. Now, I wanted everybody to know that, and I'll go over that more later when I'm doing Confederate Legion update. But if you get an email response, you send something to the Chief of Heritage Operation, Ron Kennedy, and Bobby Herring responds to you. It's because he's the Deputy Chief. Talk about training my replacement. But anyway,
yes, sir. It's the first thing you do. And I love Bobby. I mean, I've been around him several times, and he's a great guy.
He's also the Lieutenant Commander of the Louisiana Division, and he's been our division adjutant. He is, unlike the Kennedy brothers, he is organized. So that is a wonderful talent. I don't have that talent. And one last thing. The third Thursday of every third month. So August, because we go by the fiscal year of the organization. August, September, October, the third month of the year for the organization. The third Thursday, which will be October the 20th, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to do the Confederate Legion update here on around the Confederation. So y'all put that on your calendar as well. But we only do that every third month. Commander, we are right at 7:59 according to my time here.
Yes, sir.
Up here it says we got about 2.5 minutes left.
Okay.
You got any last words to say?
Very briefly, I'd like to touch on what I started with about the sick and afflicted within our organization and the caregivers. Please be mindful of those. Please pray for those, and if you can help them where you can. And then, as Charles LeRae pointed out, we have had weather come through Florida. And we have had our brothers that are down in Florida, that some of them, especially in West Florida, have really suffered. Let's keep those in your mind. Let's remind people of the Scv Relief Fund. That money is out there for Scv members, but let's not let it get depleted. Let's contribute to it. You can contribute straight to that. You can go on to the scv.org website and you can go into that funding piece, and you can contribute to it and do whatever you need to with that. So just keep that in mind if you don't mind. Think about our sick and our hurt that are out there, and let's be mindful of our people in Florida that have suffered. And how about let's brother help brother and support each other. Let's work together as one. If we do what we're supposed to on that, and we work together as one, we can and we will be victorious over this, because the one thing we will do is we will outlast them, and that we can do.
That's right. Thank you very much, Commander Jason Boshers, Sons of Confederate Veteran. We appreciate everything you are doing. We appreciate the opportunity to get on, look around the Confederation. Moose, thank you, and all the people you have working with you. Y'all are doing a great job, not only this, but TikTok and other things you're doing. Us old, I say us, I'm talking about my brother and I, not Commander. He's young, but us old guys like Donald and I, well, we don't know how to do TikTok, but we appreciate you do. And with that, we're going to sign off.
Stay Confederate, my brothers.